Hey everyone, my name is Jamie and welcome to my baking channel. I wanted to share a little bit about me before we get started. So I live in Western North Carolina, just north of Asheville with my husband. We don't have any kids, we don't have any pets, but I do have a lot of friends with kids and a lot of friends with pets, and I love those kids and pets dearly. I spend my days working from home. I work in the tech industry, so I'm remote, and which affords me to be able to go out and go hiking during the day in the mountains. And one of the things I do while I'm working is I bake. And I bake because of two really important people in my life. I started baking probably 10 to 15 years ago on the regular. And every year during the holiday season, I will send out probably 25 to 35 boxes of baked goods all over the United States. I can cover that in a future episode, but the reason why I bake is my grandpa and my uncle. When I was younger, my grandpa every year during the holidays would actually do like all these little candies and treats, like chocolate covered pretzels and fudges and little dipped balls and anything you can imagine. And he would put them out on trays for like people to snack on and people to eat, and he would give it away. And then my uncle, who was actually a Vietnam vet, he came home and he worked through a lot of his own issues, but he developed a love for baking. And during the holidays, I would get a box from him in the mail with a note inside, and the note would say, "Hey, I made 20 dozen cookies. The guy that held the door for me at the post office got a dozen for holding the door. The post office employee that helped me got another dozen. I gave another dozen to the person who ended up in my parking space just as a Merry Christmas." And so I loved how both of those things made me feel as a recipient of those baked goods. And it also just makes me feel very close to the two of them. They were both really important people in my life that I cared deeply for. I am not an influencer, and I'm not going to try to be. I have no idea what this will become, but it's just a creative outlet for me right now as a way to channel some creative energy doing one of the things I love most. Now, to cover how these the videos and shorts are going to go, I'm going to do easy recipes if you're afraid of baking or you just don't know where to start, that kind of thing. Most of the recipes are plant-based. I would say like I use sweeteners like applesauce and maple syrup, things like that. Just very basic ingredients, nothing fancy, nothing you should have to order. You should be able to find it all at your local grocery store. If I'm aware of gluten-free substitutes, I will let you know if I've tried them and how they worked out. And almost all these recipes will be vegan or plant-based. But again, no weird ingredients, just really simple, easy recipes using things you probably already have in your pantry or cupboards. Let's see what else. So there's going to be a couple different sections. There'll be a beginning section where we actually make the batter or whatever it is. And then at the point where I put it in the oven, feel free to turn it off if you're like, I'm just too busy. And if you want to come back at the end, I'll see you back in however long it takes the thing to bake, and we'll finish our conversation there. However, if you'd like to stick around for a little bit after you put it in the oven, writing is something that is very much a part of my life. So I write, I journal, I'm very introspective. I think I've had a lot of self-growth in this area, and there are topics or conversations that may just come up over time that I have on my mind and that, I just want to share. One of my friends and I do Marco Polos all the time. And if you aren't sure what they are, they're like video recorded messages where you just talk at each other, similar to this, just you go back and forth. And those are some of her favorite things that we do, are those conversations. And so I want to do those here. And they could be about anything that's on my mind. It could be about something like, hey, this is what I'm going through in my life. Like, this is where I am, like mentally, emotionally, and this is how I worked my way out of it. Or something like, hey, I just discovered a new organizational method and I'm so excited and I'm geeking out on it, so I'm going to share it with you. Just one last thing I'd like to bring up. So from time to time, politics may come up, not because I'm intending this to be conversations about politics, but it's just the state of where we are as a country. And it may come up from time to time depending on the issue. And full disclosure, I am a lifelong Democrat, and there are things that are happening now that very deeply affect the people that I love and care about in my life. So those things may come up as just a part of the conversation. Like I said, I will give you the heads up, before we get into the talky part, if that's what I'm going to cover, so that way you can just turn it off. But please know, I'm just not going to engage in my comments with anything to the contrary. I believe what I believe. Other people have the right to believe what they believe, but I'm not gonna argue about things like this. So I just wanted to give you the heads up about that. Let's see, anything else? Equipment that I use. The only special equipment I really have is a KitchenAid mixer. If you have a hand mixer with the little beaters, that works just fine. Most of the recipes, you don't even need those. You can probably stir things by hand. The only thing where it gets a little bit tricky is when we do cinnamon rolls. You can either knead, or if you have a KitchenAid, you can use the dough hook, whatever you want. But everything else is just, like I said, things that were in my kitchen, nothing special that I can think of. And I am not a recipe creator. All my recipes are just tried and true recipes I have from other people. I will always give them credit. In the videos, in the comments, a lot of them I've made subtle changes to where they were inspired by that recipe, where I've maybe changed 3 or 4 ingredients because it's just something I have tried and tested and I found out a different way, or maybe it's something with my specific oven, that kind of thing. So just in full transparency, it's very important to me to give credit where credit's due. So I will always give credit to where I got the recipe, because as much as I wish I could be a recipe creator, that is not who I am. So other than that, that's a little bit about me, and let's get started baking.